Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. It's my honor and pleasure to be able to take you on a journey of discovery this evening when it comes to ASEA. If you're new to ASEA and you don't know a lot about the technology or the business model, I'm going to be covering that from the perspective of what my journey was like into ASEA. And if you're a seasoned associate, welcome. Hopefully I can impart a few bits and pieces that you might be able to take away from this webinar, because I'm so truly grateful and very, very excited to have had 6 years yesterday as an ASEA associate. And my hope is for you to discover what my husband Bart and I have discovered when it comes to just how amazing ASEA is. The technology stands on its own, and the people are by far the most amazing people we've ever associated with, mostly thanks to ASEA's technology. So I'll go ahead and get started. Maybe you can relate to aspects of my story when it comes to your journey and your life and how it's unfolded so far. Because the beautiful thing in life is it's not always easy, and sometimes we have to start over again. And the beautiful thing is when we're in those situations, which I've been in a few times in my life, we always have a choice. We're always in a position to make another decision. So for me, I started out my corporate career in my early 20s. I'd finished a science degree and I went into big pharma. So I was working for SmithKline Beecham Pharmaceuticals. It wasn't a job. It was my ego that got the job. Basically, I had a company car and it was phenomenal money. I grew up in housing commission homes, and so there was no safety net for me at all financially. So I was in Sydney, I was living an enamored lifestyle. And then what often happens though is sometimes if you're not living in integrity and in alignment with your values, not to say that pharmaceuticals do not have their place, of course they do, but for me it was out of alignment with my principles, philosophies and who I am. So I ended up in Hornsby Hospital with a virus that had swollen the meninges around my brain and my brain itself. So I wasn't in a good state. And the nurse at the time wanted to inject me with a drug I personally had been selling in the field. Now, they didn't know that I'd been selling that drug in the field. Let me just see, people can't hear me here, so let me just turn my volume up. I'm unmuted. Can someone else probably put in the chat box if you can hear me? Because it might just be an issue, Julie, with your particular Zoom account. So if someone could let me know in the chat box, that would be great. Oh, good, great, thank you. So moving on, when it comes to leaving the hospital after turning down the administration of this drug, because I knew I probably, given the state I was in, was not going to make it out of there alive, basically. So as you do when you're in situations like that, you call on the big fella upstairs and you say, look, okay, I make it out of here. I promise you I'm going to make some changes. I'm going to get on my true path and I'm not going to compromise my integrity ever again. So I handed back the keys to the company car. I started a journey where I was really committed to taking a proactive approach to finding the foundation of health. I found a business partner. We opened up several chiropractic clinics in far north Queensland, and I loved it. I was in my mid-20s, really enjoyed being an entrepreneur, loved the patients, but I was really time poor, extremely time poor. Long hours when you establish a traditional business. And I knew that there was more that I wanted to offer the world, and there was a business model out there for me. So I decided to enroll in an MBA at James Cook University. This is 21 years ago now, where I could find a business that suited me more. And so what ended up happening was 3/4 of the way through my degree, which I ended up finishing, a patient in the clinic approached me about the network marketing profession. And at the time, I remember thinking, geez, I was still very concerned in my mid-20s what people thought of me. And I was really walking a fine line of living a life according to other people's directives for me, instead of really just truly reaching inside and saying, you know, this is my life, I'm going to live it my way. And when I had realized I'd done all this study, and my ego was saying, how could you do a network marketing business when you don't need any credentials for that? I realised when I looked at the chiropractic model, back then the Australian Medical Association would not allow chiropractors to advertise under any circumstances, couldn't market our business. And the gift in that was the only form of marketing was in word of mouth. So patients would tell patients, and the clinics we had were booming. So it just made common sense to me to be able to take the walls of the chiropractic clinic, do what I love the most, but spread it out across the globe. And that was 21 years ago. And so fortunate that I didn't allow other people's judgments or opinions of me, or societal opinions, be the deciding factor of my happiness or unhappiness if I'd followed that model. So basically for me, I found my truth in it and followed my path. And I'm so grateful that I did. My husband got into a situation where, not any fault of his own, he actually had a long 12.5-year court situation. And what ended up happening was we couldn't work for over 10 years. It was that intense. And thankfully, because of this profession, and we had such a diversified business in several countries, many countries, we were able to have money coming in every single month for 10 years straight to be able to completely cover all of our bills. And we were being charged $100,000 a month in legal bills for many, many months and many years. So what I'm saying is we were blessed, we were fortunate, and it's thanks to this business model that it took care of us at a time when we really needed it. So what actually happened was the company we were in at the time lost their way. They were out of integrity, which means I couldn't stay on that journey. So when we found ASEA, and when we really checked this out and got educated to the point where we knew what we were saying yes to, we have never ever looked back. And here's why. I'll take you on the journey now with what I had found with ASEA. So as I said, the first step I needed to take was, number one, I had to take charge of my health. I knew it started with me. It was nobody else's responsibility. And as I mentioned, I was looking for that foundation. I wasn't interested in band-aids or, purely symptomatic care. Yes, symptomatic care is important, particularly when it comes to relief and feeling better. But when it comes to a long-term strategy, it's not something I was going to be fully engaged with. I knew what I didn't want. And maybe like you, it's great when we know what we don't want, because it's an indication of us moving toward what we really do want. Taking a proactive approach to health just makes common sense. It's important. You all know when we have lost our health, we're not in a good position in any other area of our lives. So I was committed to finding that solution. Dr. Maureen Hayes, this is an interesting quote, and it's so true. Most people don't actually consider their health until it's gone. So it's the choices we make today that are going to determine the level of our wellness and our health and our healthy longevity tomorrow. Health is not a given. It just doesn't get handed to us. Yeah, when we're younger, we tend to take that for granted, but it has to be earned, and we have to take responsibility and work on it every day. We know we need to have a great diet and exercise, get plenty of rest, and take some time out where we can have some fun and for stress relief, as well as drink lots of great water. We need to be really well hydrated. The list goes on with what we know that we need to do, but at the time, and maybe you're in this situation of questioning, well, is it enough? When I digged a little bit deeper and realized that there's over 10,000 untested chemicals in the food processing industry. So we have to read labels and be careful about, or wise about, what we're ingesting, because what we're putting on our plate can be quite dangerous. Society as such today, it's just, we need to take precautions because the air we breathe is polluted. Our soils don't have the important trace minerals, particularly in Australia. My first degree was a soil chemistry degree. And so I know 30 years ago, what was happening, and it hasn't gotten any better. So those minerals we need to get from other areas of our diet. The list goes on because we are living in a toxic world. And what happens when you combine all these factors? It's scientifically proven that our genes get switched off. So on average, 287 chemicals were found in the umbilical cord of newborn babies in this study done by WMC in the United States in 2019. People are injecting things into their skin and putting over 127 chemicals on their skin every day. The largest organ, it's going in, it's affecting our cells, it's affecting our health accumulatively, because people can't often detoxify what they need to get the rubbish out of the cells to be able to help the cells function better. The other thing too is there's a lot of food addictions. It's easy to get into a rut of emotional eating, and that's habituated by poor food choices because we don't have time, or we're low in energy, or we're tired. So people are digging their graves with a fork by making food choices based on instant gratification and food addictions. Well, maybe you're not noticing the results of that right now, but over time, it's really important to be aware that our gut, what we're ingesting, it is known as our second brain. It's the source of our immune system. There is a gut-brain connection. Psychoimmunology focuses on this as a profession. So often when we we're not making wise choices, and we have an unhealthy food addictive type diet, cognitively, we're not going to be happy, and we're not going to be good long term. And the second leading cause of death in Australia, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics in 2018, is Alzheimer's and dementia. So we need to take care of our mental well-being. So why are we rapidly aging? And for me, I was at a situation where it's okay, well, where do you start? We know what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing, but I still had that burning question, well, what's at the source? So that's when ASEA really opened my eyes. It was a completely new paradigm shift. At the time, I was so desensitized that people had to knock on the door a few times, metaphorically speaking, so that I could actually pay attention to what this is. And it became the missing piece to the puzzle that helped me to take charge of my health and helped me to educate people about what a proactive approach means when it comes to redox signaling molecules, which I'll show you why ASEA is the only company in the world to have stabilized these amazing messenger and activation molecules. So everything that we do, as I'd mentioned before with the skincare products that are toxic, it has an effect on the cellular level. Everything does, because we actually live and we die at the cellular level, and all disease starts there. So I mentioned before, the foundation of health is important, and that's why cellular health, which was a paradigm shift, I hadn't thought on that cellular level before. It just is a no-brainer in terms of how it makes sense now, because we've got over 75 plus, some say over 100 trillion plus cells in our body. They form tissues, which form organs that go on and form systems that make us uniquely who we are from a health perspective. So what that means is when our cells are healthy, we're healthy, which is a really great place to be. So it made sense, because when you look at this unhealthy cell diagram here, when a cell isn't healthy and it's broken away from the communication network and messenger molecules aren't there to communicate that it needs repairing and protecting or replacing, what happens is only some nutrients can get in, and toxicity builds up because only some toxins can be released, because the function and the structure of that cell is really compromised. And that happens by toxins and inflammation, bacteria, viruses, free radicals, which cause massive harm through oxidation to the cell, to the structure of the cell. And it causes that complete communication breakdown. Whereas when a cell is healthy, nutrients can get in, toxins can come out, communications optimal, it's all working really efficiently, and we've got great health. So ASEA, by the way, they are the global leader in the cellular health industry. Now, when it's mentioned that ASEA is a category creating company, it's because nobody else in the world, after 17 years of scientists working hard to stabilize these messenger molecules, they couldn't do it, and ASEA's done it. And it's the most amazing breakthrough since penicillin. So what actually these molecules do is they are created when the body creates energy for ourselves. So when the mitochondria, which is like the power plant, when it goes through the process, a specific cycle of creating energy, it throws off these molecules. And these molecules, they detect imbalances in other cells in our body. They protect the cell. And then what they do is they make a decision if the cell's repairable to repair that cell. They get everything there, all the necessary machinations together to repair the cell, or they decide we've got to kill it, we've got to get it out of the way, and one of these neighboring cells has to divide to fill that space. So they completely replace the cell altogether. I mean, really, the miracle of what goes on at the cellular level, I think a lot of us take for granted because we don't fully understand it, but it is nothing short of miraculous how our body automatically functions to be able to keep all this communication going for our very survival. Now, these molecules are also activators. So we have antioxidants in our body which go after and gobble up and attack free radicals that are causing real oxidation and stress on the cell. But the antioxidants need to be activated. They need an activation molecule to come along and switch it on to go after these free radicals. That's what these molecules do. The immune system is boosted scientifically 500%. Some studies show more, which means that when our immune system, which is of course the overall foundation of our health when it comes to a system itself, particularly when it comes to bacteria and viruses, when it's boosted by these molecules, it's magnified, it's strengthened. And these molecules have been scientifically proven. You can go to ASEA'S.com to get more information on this study. Scientifically proven to switch on genes across 5 key areas of health, which is absolutely amazing that they can do that. These molecules can do that. So as you can see, when there's proper communication restored, that affects the harmony and the communication of the cells. And yet again, the tissues, organs, and system is improved in the body, which means we're healthier, we're happier, and we're in a good place. Dr. Kurt Stickley sums this up quite well, I believe, and he says, without these cell signaling molecules, we simply wouldn't have immune protection from various bacteria. We wouldn't have the gene replication that we need, DNA sequencing that we need. So even though it seems like a small piece, these redox signaling molecules interact throughout the entire body with every cell that we know. In fact, we wouldn't be alive in 5 seconds' time if it wasn't for the function, the imperative, crucial function of these molecules in our body. So how did ASEA, how did Dr. Gary Samuelson, whom I'll show you a photo of in a second, how did he stabilize these fleeting molecules that are in the body that turn back into salt water where they've come from if they're not used in a millionth of a second? So how on earth do you do that? And they've been able to get it down to a 3-step process. So they take pristine salt water, which is exactly the same that's found inside our cells, little bags of salt water. They break it down into free-floating atoms of sodium, chloride, hydrogen, and oxygen. And then the magic happens when they rearrange these atoms, when they rearrange the molecular structure to be able to form a balanced set of stabilized redox signaling molecules outside the body. And it's thanks to this gentleman here who has been quoted as saying, this technology has the potential to spearhead the greatest advances in health we have ever seen. And we're seeing that. So this is the supplement here. It represents cellular health from the inside out. I'll show you in a minute. We have a diminished supply of these communication molecules after puberty. So it's really important to replenish and keep that supply up. So BioAgilytics is a company that works with top leading pharmaceutical companies globally. They're a quality control, quality assurance company. ASEA sends a batch of ASEA, the supplement, to this company every week so that they can qualify that there is in fact trillions of stabilized molecules in every batch of ASEA. So there's no reason to ever not have confidence or doubt the quality of the technology that we're talking and sharing with others about and we're taking ourselves. So over a 5-year period, people started spraying their skin with this liquid, with these molecules, and they were noticing some really powerful changes. So it did take 5 years because these molecules are highly fleeting, as I mentioned. They're highly bioactive. So you can't mix them with anything that you want to mix them with, because it'll denature the molecules, and you don't want that. So they managed to come up with 4 simple ingredients in Renew 28. Healthy cells renew themselves every 28 days. It's a gel. It's heavily concentrated in the molecules, and it started to represent health, taking care of health from the outside in. That led one step further into designing a specific Renew Advanced, the world's only redox skincare line, around the support of these new molecules. So the cleanser is designed with the highest quality ingredients to be able to prepare the skin for the receipt of the molecules, and then the moisturizer on the other end helps to support the molecules. And it's one of my favorite products, the moisturizer. It's absolutely amazing. There's also another gel here which is even more concentrated than the Renew 28 to use on problem spots, and all sorts of things have been falling off people's heads in showers when they use these molecules. So I'll make a disclaimer in a minute, but there's some phenomenal testimonial sites. If you ask the person who invited you onto tonight's webinar to get you in front of, or to send you a link to, you can read about this technology and how powerful the changes have been. In line with ASEA'S philosophy, it's 100% safe, non-toxic, and it's native to the body. Why that's important is because that when we ingest these molecules or put them on our skin, the body does not have to convert it into anything else to put it to work, to use them. For example, other things we put on our skin or ingest, the body has to convert it and break it down, and that takes energy into something that it then can use in its parts. So we've got the complete, straight away it gets in, it's native, it gets to work. The body assigns where these molecules need to go, and it determines the highest priority. It's amazing how it works. Gluten-free, cruelty-free, no artificial colors, no sulfates. It's a safe line for the whole family to use, and it's heavily protected. That's why after 10 years with ASEA, no one's come close to being able to duplicate this, because it's very heavily protected, which is fabulous for us to be able to be in a business model where we have that advantage with the patents and with no competition. It's unheard of. Literally unheard of. So in my due diligence, I had to make sure that I found my truth in this. We all have a gut check. I encourage you to check in with it when it comes to looking at ASEA and looking at the company, because it's your life, your future, it's your health. I can tell you everything that I believe tonight. You have to find it out for yourself. And I'm excited about that journey for you. Here's some information that may interest you of what the experts have been saying. Dr. Robertson Ward, he says, redox signaling molecules are absolutely crucial to maintain peak efficiency in cell function. Every cell in our body needs these molecules for communication purposes, and the more balanced and abundant they are, the healthier we are. That makes sense, right? Because of what I showed you before. Dr. Dick Walker, he said, we will look back on this decade and see it as the beginning of molecular medicine. Redox deficiency is behind every major disease and illness that mankind suffers. And just to reiterate that, redox deficiency is behind every major disease and illness that mankind suffers. That's how crucial these molecules are. Anne Louise Gittleman, otherwise known as the First Lady of Nutrition in the United States, she's been in the health industry, a nutrition industry, for over 40 years. She says, ASEA, in my humble estimation, is the greatest advance in lifestyle medicine, which harnesses the power of your own body to keep you well. There's been over 160,000 studies and over 1,200 books have been written on redox signaling, on redox biochemistry. And I mentioned before that Dr. Samuelson said it had the potential to spearhead the greatest advances in healthcare and science the world has ever seen. Well, major universities in the United States, Harvard and Johns Hopkins and Cornell universities, have opened new centers specifically based on molecular signaling. We're the only company in the world who has this, and everyone wants it. So as a disclaimer, these ASEA products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or medical condition. Here's some before and after photos, which I encourage you to take before photos, particularly before starting on the Renew 28 gel, so you can really see what's going on. Sometimes it's easy to look in the mirror and not notice the changes. You can see here when it comes to wrinkles before and after, the major effect after 3 weeks on a middle-aged lady. Incredible. Hormonal imbalances and skin conditions that can often erupt in teenagers. You can see the before and after here, which makes a big difference to self-confidence. Yet again, inflammation and skin irritation before and after. All these photos are after 21 days. And wrinkles. I mean, who doesn't want to live younger longer and look great? So it has a profound effect on wrinkles, and that doesn't happen if products don't work. So there's a 16% skin renewal. This has been scientifically tested by the world's leading laboratory, Dermatest, in Germany, and also Stevens and Associates, another leading laboratory, who've actually done the 49% documentation of blood flow increase 15 minutes after the first application of Renew 28, and it lasts 72 hours. It's absolutely unheard of. Blood flow increase is important because blood carries nutrients into the cell and it takes toxins out. So you're boosting that by nearly 50%. Skin cell renewal means you're turning over the unhealthy skin cells. You're shedding what you don't need. Skin smoothness, wrinkle depth, and elasticity speaks for itself when you see the before and after photos. If you want to know more, you can also go to ASEA'Sglobal.com and look at some information there as well. So if you're here tonight because you'd love to look and feel younger, then I encourage you to start using these technologies. I'd mentioned before, as we age, we produce fewer and fewer of these molecules. So we have deficiencies and imbalances. And as Dr. Dick Walker said, it's behind every major, I can't really say condition, but every major illness is the deficiency of these molecules. As we get older, we don't bounce back as much. We need these molecules for that reason. Here's some more before and after photos for things that maybe you don't think about or wouldn't have considered when it comes to these molecules. Sunburn. For gentlemen, of course, anti-aging for gentlemen, why not? The creping of the skin in this lady, this is after 28 days. It's profound. Yet again, another photo just to show you if you're suffering from any sort of blemishes or imbalances on your skin, how effective it is there, and before and after on the hands as well. This image is really insightful because it's thermography, and there's no fudging a scan like this. You can see here, for example, a lumpectomy and radiation of the left breast before the application of Redox Gel. It was applied twice to the left breast, and you can see the massive difference in the reduction in irritation in the body and the reduction in redness. The left thumb and hand image here of this person after 3 Redox Gel applications 3 minutes apart and then waiting 8 minutes. If you don't have access to thermography, which most of us don't, use the gel, apply it 3 times in 5 minutes, wait 10 minutes, and do a rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of levels of discomfort. Wait 10 minutes after the application of 3 times, and then rate yourself again. It's another way of being able to see these results and experience and feel these results. Athletic performance is key. ASEA have done studies that are profound on athletic performance, which is why Olympic athletes are drawn to ASEA. Athletes from all around the world are drawn to ASEA because of the effects of these molecules when it comes to recovery and endurance, but also when it comes to the competitiveness, their ability to compete at a higher level, because they're not hitting the wall as much or as quickly. It takes longer. It's VO2 max is what it's called. There's studies you can look at athletes.aseaglobal.com as well. These athletes and ASEA athletes and anyone who's active, if you walk, use these molecules, use the Renew 28 on your muscles, and drink ASEA religiously in the mornings and in the evenings on an empty stomach. You'll be amazed at the difference it'll make in your energy levels throughout the day. So if you're looking for a competitive edge and faster recovery, then I encourage you to use these molecules. So when it comes to restoring redox function in the body, when it comes to replenishing the diminished supply that we all have, it means that communication can get back into the cells because the structure and function's happy and normal and vibrating and thriving at a really high level. So what happens is vital nutrients can get back into the cell, and waste products, those important waste products you don't want circulating or holding on in your body, which mostly is held in store cells, we want the body to be able to efficiently do the job it's designed to do and get rid of that. So what ASEA have done is they've completed the picture when it comes to cellular health from the inside out. Redox signaling molecules provide the labor that detects, protects, and rejuvenates cells, allowing nutrients, otherwise known as the materials that nourish the body, to be used properly by the cells. See, ASEA redox signaling molecules doesn't have any nutrition. The nutrition has to be in the cell and present for the molecules to be able to put it to highly functioning use. So when I say that ASEA, or when it's said that ASEA provides the labor, think of it as a construction workers and a builder on a building site with all the subbies. They read the genetic blueprint. They push the DNA codes, kickstart it through generators so that the mitochondria can get producing these molecules. But you can, for example, in this photo, if you don't have quality materials, the end result is going to be like a house of cards. And on a building site like this, the communication has to be down. It has to be perfect. And that's what these molecules offer. So I'm going to transition for a few minutes into nutritional ASEA Via line, so you can see how it effectively targets the cellular health, which makes ASEA the leader and who dominates the life sciences space when it comes to cellular health. So ASEA have put together this ASEA Via range. It's currently not available for retail in Australia and New Zealand. No big deal. We order it directly from the United States, and the outside in with the world's only Redox skincare line. So let's have a look at the benefits of ASEA Via Source. It's 24 nutrient dense superfoods. Superfoods are power foods that our body really needs a high level of. Whole foods means that it's minimally processed, and micronutrients, they're essential elements needed by the microorganisms in our cells to perform its function that our microorganisms cannot get from the soils. It needs it in trace small amounts. It's in this product already. There's 16 different strains of probiotics, one prebiotic and marshmallow root in biome, ASEA Via biome. So if your diet's not where you think it could be or should be, then biome's really going to help with that immune system, but also with the cognitive function, with the brain-gut connection. So the 16 different strains of probiotics is important because in this blend, these probiotics are designed to colonize in different parts of your gastrointestinal tract and perform uniquely special functions for that area of your gut. A prebiotic is important because fructooligosaccharides, which is in the formula we have in Australia, it acts as a fertilizer for the good bacteria in your gut that you want to keep happy. And marshmallow root, it helps to protect the integrity of your gut lining. So really important. LifeMax is amazing, particularly if you lead an active lifestyle. It has 16 distinctive phytonutrients, plant nutrients, and two of the key ingredients is astragalus and gotukola, which are adaptogenic herbs, which basically means they're amazing for stress. This particular product, it's one of the points in a minute, it helps your body, it helps your cells divide effectively, divide in the right way. So that's huge. That's important for me anyway. Then last year they released Omega, which is ASEA Via Omega, which is their premium omega-3 supplement for cardiovascular and brain support. Number one leading death in Australia still is heart attacks. So this is really important that we have that we are protecting our health with a quality omega-3 ingredient. So the nutrient building blocks, as I've mentioned, to just quickly recap, it works synergistically with the labor, the redox molecules, to specifically support our cellular health. It regulates healthy cell division and promotes longevity, LifeMax. It helps to assimilate vitamins and minerals. So ASEA have put together a proprietary blend called BioVia, which is made up of 6 really key enzymes that help our body to absorb and maximize the ingredients in this ASEA Via range and put it to use and use it, which the molecules love because they get to take that high level ingredients, a high level food that supercharges us, and put it to work straight away. It's amazing. Soothes the digestive system if you've got any issues there. Mental well-being, I mean, who couldn't use that in this day and age? Promotes healthy brain function, supports a healthy immune system, which is really important, helps support a healthy inflammatory response. We don't want chronic inflammation in our bodies. It's not a good position to be in. Supports a healthy metabolism, which is really important. Cardiovascular health, the reasons I mentioned before. It too, along with the molecules activating antioxidants, it also supports antioxidant activity to chase down those free radicals. Excuse me. With the adaptogenic herbs, it reduces stress. So if you're interested in a proactive approach to health that really combines synergistically with these molecules to supercharge your health and kickstart your health, then ASEA'S.com, you can go and look at more information there and discover more about the amazing ingredients that are in this range of product. Now, this is important because if you're really needing to change your life is some things are showing up. It's taken years to show up. One bottle of ASEA or 1 week on ASEA is not going to do you justice, and it won't do this technology justice. 90% of studies, 90% of participants in this particular study, or 90% of people, have been shown that they notice significant results, a significant difference on these molecules, for example, after 3 months on the technology. So do yourself a favor and order a supply for a minimum of 3 months so that you can really benefit from this technology and what these products can do, because things don't start overnight. As I said, they're not often going to go away overnight. Having said that, you saw those before and after photos. Some people notice amazing results after a week and 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So take photos. This reiterates the point a little bit more. After only 5 applications of Renew 28 in the morning, you can see the difference between this person's face. And this particular person is a beautician. So it was important for her to go to work and feel good. And that's Renew 28. This lady, these results took 7 months, but I dare say this woman is not at all concerned that it took 7 months. I think she's extremely happy that she's been able to get on top of this situation. So step 2, really, when it came to, I knew I'd found the missing piece of the puzzle. I knew that this was a foundational product addressing cellular health. The next thing was, I knew, particularly from my experience being young and being an entrepreneur in the chiropractic clinics, in order for me to help more people, I really wanted to take charge of my financial abundance as well. As I said, growing up in housing commission homes, I didn't want to struggle through my life because I knew there's more impact I could make and more I could do with it being financially abundant, but I had to be aligned with my values, and it had to be full of integrity or I wasn't going to touch it. So I was on a mission to find that I could live my life my way. I don't know about you. This is me. I have an issue. I don't like being told what to do. I'm a great employee if I have to be, but I don't like it. I just really want to live my life my way. I just think we're all born to have that opportunity to design our lives that way. ASEA offers us an amazing vehicle. If that's really truly what you want for yourself and your family, it's, in my opinion, the best vehicle out there from what I've looked at. You've got to make that decision for yourself when it comes to being able to provide us with the financial abundance to carry us through the hard times, but to also get us out of the feeling trapped if that's where you're at in your life. Playing small doesn't serve anyone. We all know that. And being an example is really important, particularly to be an example to those you love and care for. The company had to measure up for reasons that I had mentioned before. So when I looked at ASEA for the first time, is it a company I could trust? Trust was really important. Thanks to these 2 gentlemen here, ASEA founders, father and son team, Redox and Tyler Norton. If you haven't looked at this link already, ASEAGenesisvideo.com, when I looked at and watched that video 6 years ago, I got it. I knew these people were for the people, were for us, and had the highest level of integrity out of any corporate executives I'd ever met. Now, Redox was the VP of strategy for a $37 billion a year company, Kraft Foods. He was the brains behind figuring out the strategy. Tyler Norton, he had spent decades in the financial management business in insurance, and he had risen to the very top of all the companies that he'd been involved with. Virtus, at the age of 68, was on the board of a biotech company that couldn't stabilize these molecules. He bought the technology. He managed to link up with Dr. Samuelson to make the magic and the miracle happen. And because he started to get people on the technology, ASEA, in the beginning, if you're really unbalanced with these molecules, it doesn't taste great. It doesn't taste bad. It doesn't taste great. So they didn't know if people would actually be compliant. They got the product out. After 2 months, it went to over 20 countries, 135 people. 6 people in particular weren't doing well. Not doing well to the point that they had to get some things in order pretty quickly. And so for Virtus being a businessman, and he didn't understand our profession at the time, he'd never been involved with it, a pharmaceutical company flew out to Salt Lake City, put an offer on the table, too big, nobody would have walked away from it, but they asked Virtus specifically, Dr. Samuelson was there, that everyone had to come off the product immediately. Everyone had to come off ASEA. Dr. Samuelson kicked Virtus under the table and said, we need to talk, they're going to shelve this. And Virtus was never going to take these 6 people off the technology, was never going to do that. That's when they made a decision. They turned down the money and they made a decision to get this out to the world, and the best form of marketing is word of mouth, and the rest is history. They're incredibly financially stable thanks to their business mind. They've been debt-free since their 7th month in business. They've done well and truly over 800 million in sales. This is their 10th year this year. They've paid out over 250 million in commissions. Companies say, sometimes companies in our profession say we pay up to 50%. ASEA doesn't say that. They actually pay 50% and sometimes more. They own their own manufacturing facility here in Pleasant Grove, Utah, which is crucial. This was a crucial point for me because I knew that they had control over quality. So that was important for me. And also they've got the capacity for what's coming in the pipeline, for what's ahead. They've got 19 distribution centers globally, and their annual capacity in this production facility is 1 billion products annually in ASEA and Renew 28 out of this facility. Here's a image of their new corporate headquarters, which is amazing. It's Mount Timpanogos. Bart and I used to live on the other side of that in Utah. It's simply a spectacular place. So the business model made sense. I just had to get over myself in the beginning, all those years ago, as I'd explained when I first ventured into our profession. Because as I'd mentioned before, and you probably know, word of mouth is so effective. This study says it all. When it comes to TV or radio, it was just, why go there? But Big Al Schreider has said everyone does network marketing every day, but some people don't get paid for it. We get paid for cutting out the middlemen and doing good in the world. ASEA is currently in 33 countries. There's over 16 languages supported. So for $60 Australian, you were in a global business. I don't know where else that you can be in a global business for $60. Chiropractic clinics took a lot more than that to set up. And ASEA pays in over 8 different ways. I didn't get paid at over 8 different ways as a pharmaceutical rep or as a owner of chiropractic clinics. It just didn't happen. Asia is the hotspot right now in terms of ASEA opening it. It is just going crazy there for great reasons, but there's still amazing possibilities. The less than 0.1% of people still even currently know about these molecules, and that's what we've got ahead of us. So building a distribution channel is easy. You do have to open your mouth once you understand what this concept is, and you don't have to go down any deep rabbit holes and know it all either, because you know people that know information, and you can trust yourself to find out what you need when you need it. So this happens. We tell people and they tell people. Just like I said before, you know, Virtus started out with 20 people. It went to 135 people in 20 countries in 2 months, unbeknownst to them. This is what's happening. And soon you're in business in America right from your home if you're in Australia. You've got an Asian distribution network and a European distribution channel. Over 6 years, Bart and I are in over 34 countries. And it just happens. And yeah, we're really fortunate. So I wanted to know how I could really make a difference. And when I was discovering ASEA and the integrity checked out, the company I could trust, the product, it stood in a category of its own. I knew it was amazing. So I knew what was left was to be able to make a difference. I actually had to add value to the lives of other people. See, where you're at in your life right now, we're all remunerated based on the value we're adding to people's lives. And for people who, lots of people out there, just because I said, look, I'm a good employee if I have to be, but I don't like it, just because that's me, doesn't mean that you don't potentially love your job. And that's where you find your sense of being and your presence, and you can add value. If you're looking at ASEA for a plan B, which quite frankly makes sense in this current day and age, then staying on the treadmill and staying focused on what you're doing and not expanding your thinking, which you're all doing, you're on this webinar tonight, but that's not going to help you add more value to the lives of others for you to be remunerated accordingly. Sometimes you need to ask people who've already gotten off the treadmill, who've already experienced life outside of just over broke security. And sometimes you need help to climb the wall and get out. And that's what we're here for as associates, to help provide you with the information for you to find your truth and make that decision for yourself. So if you're after a plan B, if you're after replacing your income altogether right now, if you're after money freedom, and please seriously check this out, because anyone you talk to, and I can guarantee this in ASEA, they're going to tell you the same thing I've told you tonight. They're a sure thing to bet upon, but at the end of the day, you've got to bet upon yourself. You've got to trust yourself. So what now? Timing, it is everything. And the reality is, a lot of people say, the people in the beginning make all the money. It's simply not true. ASEA's greatest business builder hasn't even joined ASEA yet. That's where this company is going. That's how big it is. Often in the beginning, there's teething problems when the foundation's laid. it's just normal. It's business life. But right now, ASEA are in a growth phase. They will do, I think this is conservative, but they'll do over $500 million in annual sales by 2025. That's their projection. So I'm excited about what's ahead. And I'm excited about the timing for all of you on the webinar tonight as well. So know what you're saying yes or no to is a theme that I've brought up through this webinar, and it comes to making a decision. If you're sitting on the fence in your life, after a while, it doesn't get comfortable. So jump in, you've got nothing to lose. Check it out, have a look, start on the molecules. If you're over the age of puberty, you need them. You really do need them. It's been scientifically proven. When you start to discover more about what these molecules can do, a personal responsibility is going to kick in. And what you're going to find, because this is just what happens, you'll start naturally telling people and sharing people, particularly based on your experiences and what you've seen. Now, when I started using the molecules 6 years ago, I started applying them to my skin. I didn't notice anything in 7 weeks. And I thought, geez, what's going on here? As I said before, the body will prioritize where the molecules go. It took 8 weeks for my skin to massively transform, with its texture, its smoothness, with all of it. But what were the molecules doing the previous 8 weeks? I know that they were doing what they were meant to do somewhere else. And I'm just happy that they were doing what they needed to do. So that personal responsibility kicked in. But I always had a swollen gland here in my throat. So much so, it'd been with me my whole life, didn't even consider it a situation, because it was just there. I didn't even see it, didn't notice it. Had been on medication, had been off it most of my life. Long story short, last year or the year before, I noticed my throat gland's not swollen anymore. So is that worth being on the technology for 5 years for me, or 4 years for me to discover that? Absolutely, because I don't know how I would have gotten those results anywhere else, because of the foundational nature of what we've got our hands on. So I decided playing small, as I said, doesn't serve anyone. I was going to be able, I really wanted to add value and take this to the world. So I know I've raved a lot about me. It really does come down to where you see yourself. What do you need? What are you looking for? Becoming a customer makes logical sense for reasons I've mentioned. If you're working on a plan B or looking at options for a plan B, please take a serious look at this and consider joining us, because the market's so wide open. And as I said before, you have nothing to lose. If you're looking to replace your income, or if you're in a comfortable position, you want to add more value and play a bigger game, then there is certainly a situation where you can create an ASEA lifestyle income. So there's great pricing on enrollment packs where you get the best value to be able to experience these technologies, particularly over the 3-month period that I recommend that you stay on the technology for reasons I mentioned earlier. And as I said, it's just $60 Australian to get set up in an international business right from home, which makes sense from a tax deduction point of view anyway. So I just think it's brilliant. Here's a little bit of a synopsis on the amount of research that ASEA has done, which gives me confidence as an associate to know they've got our backs. We've got these studies to back up what we say, and they spend millions of dollars in amazing research. You can find out more, as well as that study I'd mentioned on the genes, at ASEA'Science.com. And here's relief in less than 10 minutes that I'd mentioned before when it comes to applying the gel. Have fun with it. Just do it, have fun with it. Know that if you're going to jump on the internet and research ASEA or research anything in the health space, then Google is a search engine. It is not a research engine. If you want to save yourself time, if you want to get the real facts, if you pride yourself on as somebody who wants the real data in your hands, then go to scholar.google.com, type in ROS, redox signaling molecules, or reactive oxygen species, and pubmed.gov, and you'll see those studies, hundreds of thousands of studies that will come up on redox signaling molecules. So get all the information that way, save yourself some time. So maybe you're also wanting to get up back on your path in life and really start to execute your mission and be part of something that's bigger than you. Maybe you have a cause where you want to do more in the world and you've got specific projects you want to do more in. Well, having the financial abundance and living a purpose-driven life is, which is what absolutely is on offer with ASEA, excuse me, can make the difference. Maybe you're looking to go on vacations when we can travel again, or holidays, or travel locally and take some time out. I don't take this for granted. I get to sleep in if I need more sleep. I get to do it. I've been able to do that for 21 years, and I don't take it for granted, because I remember what it was like to push an alarm clock, to feel like death, to push through the day some days thinking all I could think about is getting horizontal again. Not to say this is a dramatic story, you may not be like that, but it just means when you're living your life your way, you get to choose when you wake up, unless you have young kids in the house. And then maybe you want to have more quality time with your family. I mean, who doesn't want that if you like your family? So maybe growth's important to you. Maybe you want to stretch yourself and acknowledge life beyond your potential. Keep pushing the boundaries on your potential and growing as a human being. The more we grow, the more our income in this business grows, because the more value we can add. Maybe you're looking to transform your health. Maybe you're looking to take one step at a time and start with the little steps of feeling better and working up to thriving. Investing in this technology has the potential to get you there, and it won't take as long as you think it might. Maybe debt-free is really important for you so that you have more certainty. ASEA have an Advancing Life Foundation, which is amazing. They've got projects in the Philippines. They've got this project in particular in Ecuador. I went a bit fast, but they've built with the executives with their hands in the dirt. They've built a vocational center in Ecuador for the over 1,500 families to come and get skilled in some trades, where otherwise they'd have to go to the cities, they'd move into slums, and that would be how they'd spend the rest of their lives. ASEA, this isn't lip service for ASEA. This isn't a banner that people that they've stuck on their wall. This is a way of life for them. This is their meaning. It goes one step further into Operation Underground Railroad. And Cambodia is another place that they've got projects in, by the way, putting clean water into these villages. It's amazing. But Operation Underground Railroad, you may know this, over 2 million children are sex trafficked every year. There's a real situation happening in the world in this sex slave trade business. And thanks to Tim Ballard, the owner and the person who formed Operation Underground Railroad, he is able to launch rescue missions. ASEA has participated financially in these rescue missions to rescue these girls. They've invested in training dogs that go in and sniff out pornography in the walls and houses of people that are not allowed to have it and shouldn't have it. They've also invested in rehabilitation centres. It's not what they call them, but when girls are rescued and they transition back into the world into society, they come to these places, and ASEA'S invested in that. So they are making a real difference in the world, and we get to contribute through going on expeditions with them to experience how other people live. And it's the best way to realise what we actually have, where we live, and how amazing our life is as it is. But it also helps us to grow more and just know that we're lucky and we can add value to the lives of others. So the reality is the only person you're destined to become is the person that you decide to be. So if you're on the fence, please, if you take one thing from tonight's webinar, please get off the fence. Check this out. Please take a look. It's worth it. There's no heavier burden than an unfulfilled potential. I put that on there. It's probably a beacon for me, but I don't want to pass this lifetime. I don't want this life to finish without finding out what my potential is. It's really important. And we're all born. You were born with gifts and talents so unique to you. I could never possess or have, and nor do I need to. I've just got to be the best me that I can be. And I know I can do that through ASEA. And I know I can fulfill my potential through ASEA. I encourage you to take a look to fulfill yours. So what if? Here's Bart, my amazing husband. He's the one that initially basically said yes to ASEA and went to an event overseas where it just all made sense to him. This is with Redox at an event a few years ago, and we've been fortunate in terms of being able to grow our business and really help others. And I don't really like to sort of talk about myself too much, but as an example, something that popped into my head, we were on Fraser Island recently, a world's largest sand island up here if you're not from Australia. There are a couple of German backpackers whose car broke down in a very remote place. They don't have a lot of money, particularly during these times, because they can't get benefits from the government. They've just got to get workers, not a lot around. We were able to basically put on our credit card a very expensive tow that got them off the island, got them help, pay for some mechanical bills for them, help them out when they needed food, and do some things that otherwise we wouldn't have been in a position to be able to do. And that makes it all worthwhile for us, being able to help family and just do some pretty special things. We love to live life, ride bikes and do stuff and get out there. So if you're looking for some variety, if you want to have fun, there's certainly an opportunity to find that vehicle through ASEA. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others, spoken by none other than Nelson Mandela. And this really is true. If you feel like you're not living up to your potential, if you feel like there's more inside of you to offer the world, then I encourage you to let your light shine. Go and have fun. This is a fun process. Go and make a difference. And I'm really excited to meet some of you and hear about your journey into ASEA, and really encourage you to check in with your truth, check in with a gut check, and get back with the person who invited you on tonight's webinar. There's also a phenomenal webvention if you're new to ASEA. It's on the 25th, 26th in the US, but we can replay recordings out here in Australia. A great way, if you want to check out this company, be on this webvention, get together with the person who invited you to find the details out for that. And thank you so much for your company. It's been a real pleasure to be here with you tonight. We get the recordings out on redoxdiamonds.com for these events if you wanted to send a recording of myself or someone else to somewhere else. So thank you so much, and look forward to catching you soon, and enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks again, everyone.